Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, continuing chapter 8, God Intoxicated State, on page 331. Hazra was about to take the dust of the Master's feet. Master, shrinking, what is this? Hazra, why should I not take the dust of his feet, who has so kindly kept me with him? Master, satisfy God, and everyone will be satisfied. If he is pleased, the world is pleased. To Hazra, a perfect soul, even after attaining knowledge, practices devotions or observes religious ceremonies to set an example to others. I go to the Kali temple, and I bow low before the holy pictures in my room. Therefore, others do the same. Further, if a man has become habituated to such ceremonies, he feels restless if he does not observe them. If there is knowledge of one, there is also knowledge of many. What will you achieve by mere study of the scriptures? The scriptures contain a mixture of sand and sugar, as it were. It is extremely difficult to separate the sugar from the sand. Therefore, one should learn the essence of the scriptures from the teacher or from a sadhu. Afterwards, what does one care for books? To the devotees, gather all the information and then plunge in. Suppose a pot has dropped in a certain part of a lake. Locate the spot and dive there. One should learn the essence of the scriptures from the Guru and then practice sadhana. If one rightly follows spiritual discipline, then one directly sees God. The discipline is said to be rightly followed only when one plunges in. What will a man gain by merely reasoning about the words of the scriptures? Ah, the fools! They reason themselves to death over information about the path. They never take the plunge. What a pity! God made me pass through the disciplines of various paths. First, according to the Purana, then according to the Tantra. I also followed the disciplines of the Vedas. At first, I practiced sadhana in the Panchavati. I made a grove of tulsi plants and used to sit inside it and meditate. Sometimes I cried with a longing heart, Mother, Mother, or again, Rama, Rama. I practiced the discipline of the Tantra under the bel tree. At that time, I could see no distinction between the sacred tulsi and any other plant. Sometimes I rode on a dog and fed him with luchi, also eating part of the bread myself. I realized that the whole world was filled with God alone. While practicing the disciplines of the Vedas, I became a sannyasi. I used to lie down in the chadni and say to Hriday, I am a sannyasi. I shall take my meals here. The chadni is an open portico in the temple garden with steps descending to the Ganges. According to the Orthodox Hindu tradition, a monk is forbidden to live in a house. I vowed to the Divine Mother that I would kill myself if I did not see God. I said to her, "O Mother, I am a fool. Please teach me what is contained in the Vedas, the Puranas, the Tantras, and the other scriptures." The Mother said to me, "The essence of the Vedanta is that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. The essence of the Gita is what you get by repeating the word 10 times. It is reversed into tagi, which refers to renunciation." After the realization of God, how far below lie the Vedas, Puranas, Vedanta, and Tantra? To Hazra, I cannot utter the word Om in Samadhi. Why is that? I cannot say Om unless I come down very far from the state of Samadhi. I had all the experiences that one should have, according to the scriptures, after one's direct perception of God. I behaved like a child, like a madman, like a ghoul, and like an inert thing. I saw the visions described in the scriptures. Sometimes I saw the universe filled with sparks of fire. Sometimes I saw all the quarters glittering with light, as if the world were a lake of mercury. Sometimes I saw the world as if made up of liquid silver. Sometimes, again, I saw all the quarters illumined as if with the light of Roman candles. So you see, my experiences tally with those described in the scriptures. It was revealed to me further that God Himself has become the universe and all its living beings, and the 24 cosmic principles. It is like the process of evolution and involution. Footnote, that is to say, God Himself evolves as the universe at the time of creation, and names and forms are involved back into God at the time of dissolution. Oh, what a state God kept me in at that time. One experience would hardly be over before another overcame me. I would see God in meditation, in the state of samadhi, and I would see the same God when my mind came back to the outer world. When looking at this side of the mirror, I would see Him alone, and when looking on the reverse side, I saw the same God. The devotees listened to these words with rapt attention. The Mukherjee brothers saluted the master. Their carriage was ready near the veranda, north of the room. The master stood facing the north. On his left was the Ganges. In front of him were the Nahabat, the garden, and the Kuthi, and to his right was the road leading to the gate. The night was dark, and a devotee had brought a lantern to show the visitors their way. One by one the devotees bowed and took the dust of the master's feet. The carriage seemed too heavily loaded for the horses. The master said, "Aren't there too many people in the carriage?" Sri Ramakrishna remained standing. As the carriage rolled away, the devotees looked back at the master's face, beaming with compassion and love. Friday, September 26, 1884. Sri Ramakrishna had come to Calcutta. It was the first day of the Durga Puja, the great religious festival, and the Hindus of the metropolis were celebrating it. The master intended to visit the image of the Divine Mother at Adhar's house. He also wanted to see Shivanath, a Brahmo devotee. It was about midday. Umbrella in hand, M was pacing the footpath in front of the Brahmo Samaj temple. 2 hours had passed, but the master had not yet appeared. Now and then, M sat down on the steps of Dr. Malhavashi's dispensary and watched the joy and mirth of the people, young and old, who were celebrating the puja. A little after 3, the master's carriage drove up. As soon as Sri Ramakrishna stepped out, he saluted the temple of the Brahmo Samaj with folded hands. Hazra and a few other devotees were with him. M bowed before the master and took the dust of his feet. The master told him that he was going to Shivanath's house. A few minutes later, several members of the Brahmo Samaj arrived and took him to Shivanath's. But Shivanath was not at home. Shortly afterward, Vijay Goswami, Malhanavish, and several other Brahmo leaders greeted the master and took him inside the Brahmo temple. Sri Ramakrishna was in a happy mood. He was given a seat below the altar. There the Brahmo devotees sang their devotional music. Vijay and the Brahmo devotees sat in front of the master. Master to Vijay with a smile. I was told that you had put up a signboard here saying that people belonging to other faiths were not allowed to come in. Narendra, too, said to me, "You shouldn't go to the Brahmo Samaj. You had better visit Shivanath's house." But I say that we are all calling on the same God. Jealousy and malice need not be. Some say that God is formless, and some that God has form. I say, let one man meditate on God with form, if he believes in form, and let another meditate on the formless deity, if he does not believe in form. What I mean is that dogmatism is not good. It is not good to feel that my religion alone is true and other religions are false. The correct attitude is this: my religion is right, and I do not know whether other religions are right or wrong, true or false. I say this because one cannot know the true nature of God unless one realizes Him. Kabir used to say, "God with form is my mother. The formless is my father. Which shall I blame? Which shall I praise? The two pans of the scales are equally heavy." Do you know what the truth is? God has made different religions to suit different aspirants, times, and countries. All doctrines are only so many paths, but a path is by no means God Himself. Indeed, one can reach God if one follows any of the paths with wholehearted devotion. Suppose there are errors in the religion that one has accepted. If one is sincere and earnest, then God Himself will correct those errors. Suppose a man has set out with a sincere desire to visit Jagannath at Puri, and by mistake has gone north instead of south. Then certainly someone meeting him on the way will tell him, "My good fellow, don't go that way, go to the south." And the man will reach Jagannath sooner or later. If there are errors in other religions, that is none of our business. God, to whom the world belongs, takes care of that. Our duty is somehow to visit Jagannath. To the Brahmos, the view you hold is good indeed. You describe God as formless. That is fine. One may eat a cake with icing, either straight or sideways. It will taste sweet either way. God has been described in the Vedas as both with attributes and without. You describe Him as without form only. That is one-sided, but never mind. If you know one of His aspects truly, you will be able to know His other aspects too. God Himself will tell you all about them. Vijay still belonged to the Sadharan Brahmo Samaj. He was a salaried preacher of that organization, but could not obey all its rules and regulations. He mixed with those who believed in God with form. This was creating a misunderstanding between him and the Brahmo authorities. Many Brahmos disapproved of his conduct. The master suddenly looked at Vijay and began to talk to him. Master to Vijay, smiling, "I understand that they have been finding fault with you for mixing with those who believe in God with form. Is that true? He who is a devotee of God must have an understanding that cannot be shaken under any conditions. He must be like the anvil in a blacksmith's shop. It is constantly being struck by the hammer. Still, it remains unshaken. Bad people may abuse you very much and speak ill of you, but you must bear with them all if you sincerely seek God. Isn't it possible to think of God in the midst of the wicked? Just think of the rishis of ancient times. They used to meditate on God in the forest, surrounded on all sides by tigers, bears, and other ferocious beasts. Wicked men have the nature of tigers and bears. They will pursue you to do you an injury. One must be careful about these few things. First, an influential man who has much money and many men under his control. He can injure you if he wants. You must be careful while talking to him. Perhaps you may have to approve what he says. Second, a dog. When it chases you or barks at you, you must stand still. Talk to it gently and pacify it. Third, a bull. If it runs after you with lowered horns, you must calm it with a gentle voice. Fourth, a drunkard. If you arouse his anger, he will abuse you, naming 14 generations of your family. You should say to him, "Hello, uncle, how are you?" Then he will be mightily pleased and sit by you and smoke. In the presence of a wicked person, I become alert. Some people have the nature of a snake. They will bite you without warning. You have to discriminate a great deal in order to avoid the bite. Otherwise, your passion will be stirred up to such an extent that you will feel like doing injury in return. The companionship of a holy man is greatly needed now and then. It enables one to discriminate between the real and the unreal. End of today's reading.